Okay, thank you all so much for being here. It's very exciting. So today is our AAF Nebraska April Professional Development Webinar. For those of you who do not know me, I am Katie Pavel. I'm the account director at Peer Sales Agency here in Omaha. I also serve on the AAF Nebraska Board of Directors as the co-chair of the Professional Development Committee. So AAF Nebraska has been offering professional development programs, webinars, thought leaders, fun activities for our members virtually throughout the pandemic. We have gone back to hosting events in person. However, we will continue to offer added benefits with webinars and virtual programming throughout the year. AAF Nebraska is an organization to educate, inspire, and bring an inclusive sense of community to advertising professionals in our area so that we and future generations can continue to do the work that we love. The AAF and local chapters across the country represent more than just advertising. It represents people who have skill sets in marketing, public relations, communications, and so much more. We're a representation of all that is done in the industry and are here to promote, celebrate, and protect it. Events like today are available to our members and guests. Our members have the opportunities to meet new people, engage with experts, and receive professional development opportunities through educational programming offered monthly. So today we're happy to welcome Adam Miller. He's the Director of Diversity and Inclusion at Barkley. He leads all diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging efforts for Barkley to cultivate a culture in which all partners of the agency can bring their full unique selves to work each day. Additionally, he leverages the internal learnings to support clients in their DEI+B journey. So Adam is a K-State University graduate and Fulbright scholarship recipient, which he completed in Mendoza, Argentina. He was previously the inaugural director of the Green Fellowship program at Teach for America, which is awesome. For his entrepreneurial endeavors, he is part owner of a virtual winery called the AV Collection, which I will be checking out for sure. He's also the co-founder of the WorkoutKC. It's an outdoor functional fitness gym created in the midst of the pandemic for Kansas citizens to prioritize their fitness in a safe, socially distanced manner. Excuse me. He also serves as the board member for Brand Lab, Big Brothers and Sisters of Kansas City, and Visit KC. So you sound like a very busy person. And then for his contributions internal to Barkley, he was awarded the 2021 Ad Good Award, which is given to one individual in his company who believes contribution inspires those around him and strives to edify the culture, community, and work. So if all of you could please mute your audio during the presentation, then at the end, we will open it up for Q&A. Feel free to use the comment function, and your questions during today's presentation, we'll have Adam answer them at the end of the program. So welcome, Adam. Thank you so much. You can go ahead and begin.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I'll have to make a note to make a shorter biography next time. That was like, he was born in 1987 on a day in June, and then it just went from there. It kept going. I'm actually presenting across my fiance right now because, work from home. Everybody has to like be together, and she's just probably like eye rolling, like, oh, saying all the things you accomplished. I'm over it. She's perpetually unimpressed by me, which is why I love her the most. She keeps me grounded. So thank you for that glowing introduction. It's wonderful to be here with all of you all. Please enjoy your lunches. You don't have to be off camera to do it. I'm not even really looking at you right now. I'm looking at the presentation so you can safely eat your egg roll bowls or whatever it is that you're enjoying here today. But really excited to speak with you all about a topic that has been part of my professional journey and personal journey, I would say, for as long as I can remember. And that's diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Before I jump into the presentation, I always think it's important for us to level set on what those terms mean and how our organization uses them. Not to say that we are sort of the gold standard of what those words represent, but just so we're level setting and making sure throughout the presentation, everyone understands what's being discussed. We describe diversity as being invited to the party, equity as getting to the party and getting what you need to enjoy it. Inclusion is being asked to dance at the party, and belonging is dancing like nobody's watching. So All those weird dance moves you only do at home, where you feel most comfortable. Belonging is where that B part comes in, which is the most important pivotal piece for me to activate all those other aforementioned acronyms in that. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what Barkley has done and the intentions that it's made over the past year to commit to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Barkley's been around for over 50 years. And, I think a lot of companies assume that DEI+B just happens organically. And just like with anything else, nothing happens organically. It will happen in ways that you do not want to happen organically. But if you're intentional about the culture you're creating, you can set yourself up for success, and your employees, or as we call them at Barkley, your partners, up for success as well. So knowing nowadays that everybody's really focusing on this advent of the Great Resignation, where people across the world in a lot of different industries are just simply intolerant of situations and conditions that are created that do not allow them to bring their full self to work each day. We're seeing that, yes, money is a factor in decision-making process for jobs that you'll seek, but also the culture, what offerings that company offers to you to make sure that you can, again, express yourself and feel comfortable in doing so. And so you're seeing this sort of like values shift away from monetary things, promotionability, and more to like, what is my legacy going to be? Where am I lending my talents, and is it in service of uplifting or detracting from the progress of people? And so hopefully today, through observing what we've done internal to Barkley, you can extrapolate some of these better practices and apply them to your own companies, personal lives, whatever it may be, and edify that culture in that way. So with that, let's jump into it. We kind of look at our DEI+B initiatives in sort of three phases. You'll see in these three circles, the most centric circle is partner impact. You have to start with the people first. And by that, I mean at the individual level. At Barkley, we have about 430 partners. That's a lot of people and one diversity director. So my vigilance over all these people's different experiences is something that I take very seriously. And I work hard to make sure that folks do feel comfortable coming to work each day. So it's really about creating systems and structures that allow people to leverage at the individualistic level and feel comfortable coming to work each day. Beyond that, it's how are we impacting that to the broader paradigm of Barkley in terms of what we're doing organizationally, but also for how we service our clients. And I think that's important as well, because, when you work as an advertising agency, you have the opportunity to really shape how people perceive themselves engaging with the products and services that you're privileged to represent. And that's a lot of power. And if you're not doing that with intention, it can be dangerous. And so we really are trying to be intentional about that. Expanding that even further to that broader circle about the advertising community and just beyond is really, what are we doing to contribute to the world around us? How are we paving the way for those beyond us to come back and do it even better than we did and leave this place a little bit better than we found it. And so you'll see that these are all broken down across these three different disciplines and our innovation and impact model. First having partner impact, Barkley impact, and then ad community impact. Within these three different disciplines, we're going to talk about a couple of different things, partner impact being the first one. So jumping into that, we've sort of codified this in four different buckets: our culture contract, our days that matter, a day on policy, and our mental health days. And so I'll explain what each of these are in greater depth with some examples in just a few minutes. But speaking to our culture contract, this is something that I like to call it a living document, and that it continues to change. It continues to have addendums added to it, amendments, et cetera, because our culture changes. And I think it's important for companies to be malleable and open to change, and not so stubborn in their viewpoints on what culture should be. Culture shifts all the time, depending on who you're bringing in, how they're interacting with what your culture is at that time. And it continues to shift and move. Sometimes it comes back, sometimes it moves forward. It just kind of depends. And so it's really important that whatever we created was malleable enough and engaging enough at the same time to allow some stability, but also gave way and room for growth. And so you'll see this is broken down in a series of even overstatements consisting of what Barkley owes to partners, or to you in this case, and what partners owe to each other. The next phase, you'll see that we've made some amendments in our partner handbook, is in our days that matter policy. Beyond just having a really robust and I think pretty great, paid time off policy within Barkley, we also acknowledge days that matter. Typically in the American culture, there are a couple of holidays that everybody celebrates: Thanksgiving, New Year's, Christmas, maybe President's Day, which is coming up, I think, around the corner here on the 21st. But there are tons of holidays that, while we pride ourselves on being sort of this melting pot and a place where all different cultures can collide and exist, we don't tend to celebrate those days in the same way and with the same focus that other cultures do. So Diwali, Chinese New Year, which just started a few days ago, I never see people taking off work or closing their offices for those days. And so we really wanted to be intentional about creating the terms and conditions for partners to be able to take those times off and celebrate in a way that makes sense for them. So that's what Days That Matter is about. Day on is, when you have Martin Luther King Jr. Day off or Veterans Day. Sometimes you could take those days off to really provide yourself with a respite and a recharge, and that's completely fine, no judgment. But we want to provide partners with an opportunity to really lean into the intention of what that day is about and in the way of service. And so for Martin Luther King Jr. Day in particular, we curated at least 2 in-person and at least 1 virtual experience across all of our offices for partners to be able to engage, take photos, videos, whatever it may be, send all of those to one hub, and then we'd be able to share those out in a future staff meeting to show how partners are contributing to in terms of volunteerism in the community they serve in. And so that's what Day On is about. And then the last piece, mental health days. This industry is insanely crazy. It's wild hours. It's a lot of fun. It's fast paced, but it can be exhausting. And so really encouraging our partners to take time to rest, recharge, and then come back and re-engage with a fresh mindset, even more creativity and more zeal about their work is really important to us. Mental health tends to have a stigma. We're striving to do our best to destigmatize what that is about and create terms and conditions for folks to feel comfortable to express themselves, talk about those things, and have a set space and time to be able to recharge and come back to the work. So how is that lived out for us? There's a couple of different ways. This is that culture contract you'll see on your left. We're actually working on shifting this a little bit. We found in response to some of our partners that it's not exhaustive enough. And again, you have to be open to getting feedback from your base, your partner base or your employee base, and knowing that you have the malleability and the flexibility to change and shift things. So you'll see sort of what those statements are: building a truly diverse Barkley, even over complacency. Sometimes, when we have new business coming in and we need to hire someone immediately, there is this tendency to just pick someone that can do the job versus really being intentional about finding an individual who perhaps has those skill sets that can be cultivated to do the job. So how do we mitigate and balance against the demands of the work, but also the demands of doing the right thing and creating space and opportunity for all? So you'll see that all of our different even over statements for what Barkley owes to partners and what partners owe to each other are comprehensive of that mindset. And then looking over at the days that matter, this is how I personally celebrated Juneteenth. I'm the one behind the camera. In the middle is my business partner, John. And then around them are a bunch of our friends, clients, et cetera, focusing on their health and wellness. On Juneteenth, we have a partnership with Children's Mercy Park at the professional MLS team, Sporting KC, and we're able to work out there. We called it a blackout workout where everybody wore black. And worked out, had a lot of fun, listened to Black artists, and we're able to go and support a Black restaurant after that with food and just, be able to patron and support a Black cause in that regard. So that was a way that I celebrated, but a lot of different partners celebrated in a myriad of different ways. And that really is about what Days That Matter is. It's about leaning into an intention that makes sense for you, really championing and celebrating and appreciating your identity and having the space and a company that supports you in doing that. For the day on and the mental health days, you'll see kind of what some opportunities are from us. On the left side, this is my human resources team, all smiles, even behind the masks, volunteering at Harvesters just this past year. I believe we sorted no less than 85,000 frozen turkeys. I never want to see a turkey again. I really don't. Like they're wet, they're cold, it's very weird. I don't know why they having to sort those things, but it was a lot of fun. Got to get lunch with all that gang after that and hang out. And then on the right, this is how I chose to have my mental health day. You'll see my fiance to my left, one of our council members, which I'll explain about the council in just a little bit, to my right, and Jade, our partner, the human resources team, Kate, and ironically, her husband's name is Adam as well, took in a Royals game. We lost 8-0. Dang it, Royals, get it together. But it was still a lot of fun. So taking that a little bit further, what has Barkley done as a whole to really ingratiate ourselves in terms of DEI+B to the culture? Just zooming out a little bit, we're going to be talking about the DEI+B Advisory Council. It's For me, it's not enough for one person to be the cultural collision point that can encompass all the different identities that are present within our world. It's just not possible. I may be a Black man, a Christian, a son, but I am not a woman. I am not Muslim. I have different belief systems than others. And so it's important for us to create the opportunity for other identities to really coalesce and have a prismatic viewpoint on how we view issues and challenges and opportunities of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. So the mission of our council is to safeguard the experience of all partners from underrepresented groups, as well as the modern consumers who interact with the products and services we're privileged to represent. These are my Avengers, as I call them. I'm kind of like the Nick Fury of the group. I would say Jay Johnson's more like the Hawk kind of guy. And then you got, I don't know all the Avengers. I can't list them all, but this is our exhaustive list of all the different groups. Within them, you'll see sort of like subgroups there: our work, educate and discuss diversity at Barkley, and inclusivity and belonging. Our work is exactly what it sounds like. It's about the business. How are we holding our clients accountable to being mindful of their diversity, equity, and inclusion as well? Not just keeping all those learnings and opportunities internal to Barkley, but really leveraging those into the work, into the creativity that we produce for clients. Educate and discuss is about edifying the experiences of our partners individually. So knowledge bases and how they can have difficult conversations with people and their families and things of that nature. And so every single month, this group curates a list called Tools for Rocket People. Within those are different learning modalities across the disciplines of read, watch, listen, do, and inspire. Knowing that people learn in different ways, we wanted to make sure we're providing resources and learning opportunities across all those different disciplines. And so every single month has a different theme, and then there's different resources that are attached to that. We pride ourselves on saying that across 400 people, 80% of all of our partners open at least one of those resources every single day. And it's not a requirement. It's just something that people really are intrigued by doing. And so we know that it really does matter and that it is effective. And we've seen a lot of gains from that. Additionally, we host open spaces once a month during our weekly meetings where we have a different topic. This one coming up on Friday of this week is called Modern Professionalism, and how there's different perceptions of what professionalism really is, how that has changed culturally over time, and how we can create terms and conditions and circumstances for folks to feel comfortable being themselves in a professional environment. Diversity at Barkley and inclusivity belonging as of this week have actually technically merged into one. We realized that their work was sort of overlapping in a lot of different ways. And so we did merge them into a group that's now called Diversity and Belonging. So this hasn't been updated to reflect that, but the idea behind that is to make sure there's representation, but also BRGs, as we call them, Barkley resource groups across BIPOC groups, different genders, orientation, veteran status, where folks can come together in an affinity space and really discuss challenges, opportunities, wins, and just general dialogue and conversation that impacts that specific identity for them. So this is what this group really does and what they service for the broader agency and themselves in that work. Now, taking that one step further, how have we rolled that out to the community we're working within? So talking about that is a lot, but it's better if I just show you a little bit about it real quick. This is going to explain one of our latest partners, which is Junior Achievement Biztown. Essentially, we created a gigantic human-sized diorama for kids to be able to be, strategists, creative directors, CEOs for a day with a different prompt and challenge and a creative brief that they get to work on. So this will explain it a little bit for you. So I'm going to turn my volume up so you can hear it, and we'll come back and talk a little bit more about it when the video is done.
Welcome to Barclays. We're a creative idea company that solves problems for big brands. Come on in, check us out. We believe that anyone can be creative and that great ideas can come from anywhere. The best part, you can get paid for being creative. And that's why you're our newest employees, or as we like to call them, rocket people. Today, we're giving you a creative brief. What's a creative brief, you ask? It's your mission. It's a document that outlines a problem a brand is having and tasks you with solving it. After this video, our volunteers will give you your brief. This is where your roles come. First, the media planner and strategist will lead the group in learning more about your consumer and where to place your creative. Next, the creative and producer will help you come up with an idea that helps solve the problem from the brief and film any commercials or social media videos that are needed. Then the designer will guide you in designing the elements of the campaign, such as billboards, social media posts, and print advertisements. The brand manager will then lead the team to help decide how to explain the product, the media plan, and how you want to promote it, and put a pitch presentation together of all the work. Finally, the brand manager will lead the team's pitch, and the creative and producer will be responsible for filming it. The CEO and CFO will observe the pitch and give any feedback after the presentation ends. Feel free to ask our volunteers if you have any questions or need clarification. Now, you're ready to launch.
I do not recommend trying to do that yourselves. It's dangerous. Don't try this at home, kids. It's real. Very dangerous.
Welcome to Barclays.
So that's a little bit about that. This is kind of how it turned out. The space itself, you'll see two of my colleagues here. Julie Sikansky is on the right. She's our art director and designer for the space, and Melissa Keith, who's our brand manager that liaises between Junior Achievement and Barkley to make sure this got across the finish line. Shout out to her nails looking fantastic while she holds these stickers. I mean, she must have got them like manicured like that day because they look on point. But it was really cool. We had them kind of create opportunities to sell and gain some revenue for the company. And so they had these stickers that they had to essentially hustle and sell across the different other storefronts, such as Evergy, Community America, et cetera, Price Chopper, things of that nature. Then when they also sold headshots for LinkedIn profiles as well. So this is kind of our backdrop on the left where they can put their phones in, take photos of their class, their teacher. They had a lot of fun with it, and they still do it to this day, which is really exciting. So it's fun to run around there and see a bunch of kids, really engaging and learning about a career path, but that perhaps they had not considered before this opportunity. This is a picture of one of my all-time favorite kids. This is Nabil. He was our CEO for the day. Look at him. You can see him smiling literally beyond the mask. He's just like super hype about this. Even his shirt is just like swagger, like just times 5,000 cut above the rest. Wearing the old school and one shirt. I appreciate it. But this is his headshot. He got up there and raised in fake money $2,000 for Barkley that day. So he ended up getting an award and some cool opportunities to meet with our Barkley CEO at that time. So really a good time, and kids really engage with it from all kinds of different levels, both from second grade all the way to freshmen in high school, and really enjoy the prompts. So that's a little bit about what that does and how we are really contributing back to the community. There are tons of other different programs that I don't have the time to explain today that we work on as well, such as Barkley Fellowship Program, Barkley Creative Accelerator. The fellowship program is essentially an opportunity for us to take folks that have no agency experience whatsoever, but have at least 8 years experience in something else, that want to try their hand at advertising. And so they go through a rotation model, very similar to what it would be in medical school, where they spend 2.5 months in each rotation. And at the end, they sort of declare a major where they spend the next 6 months in that track. At the end of that, the hope is that after some evaluation processes are rolled out, they can be offered and guaranteed a spot at a director level or above within the agency. This is specifically for BIPOC talent as well. The Barkley Creative Accelerator is sort of its sister program in that regard. It allows young creatives that have already learned about the industry and are excited about it to be able to skip portfolio school altogether. We all know it's very expensive. You have to buy the laptop, the computers, and all these different things. And we say, you know what? Save all that. We'll provide you the laptop and all the expertise. Come and learn with us, and we'll give you an equitable wage and full-time salary while you do it. If you want to learn more about those programs, they're on our Barkley channel. On both LinkedIn and Instagram, just Barkley US or at Barkley. You can check those out. There's some latest posts about that that you can see today if you want to. Lastly, I would just say that a lot of people view diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging as being a piece of the pie, and it kind of is, but it's not just a piece of the pie. It's the crust that holds the entire confection together. I don't care if it's a savory pizza on the top left. I'm more of a New York style guy myself, or if it's a sweet pie to your right, it doesn't matter. Diversity needs to be steeped in every single process that you do, because if it doesn't, it will come off as inauthentic and people will see right through you. And so a lot of companies these days use diversity as a buzzword, and they phase out and they fizzle out, and people can see that. And it can actually be more injurious to your process than had you not started in the first place. So it's really important that diversity isn't something that's an afterthought. It's the forethought and really the genesis of whatever the process is that you're trying to create, be it in a professional world, personal world, or anything. The more that people can feel comfortable to engage with your products and services, the better they're going to perform and the better the result will be. So that speaks to sort of our Barkley Impact Report and our Add Good model. Recently, Barkley received the distinction as a certified B Corp, which we're really excited about. It's very hard to do that. You have to lower your emissions and things of that nature, less travel, recycle more, and also there's a quotient across partner satisfaction that you have to meet as well. You have to get at least an 80% score in order to be a certified B Corp. Barkley scored a 93.4. So we're doing really well, but we're not resting on our laurels. We intend on getting better and improving that regard. You'll see here, they're kind of the 4 different disciplines of that Add Good model: partners, planet, clients, and community. My specific work lies mostly in the partners and the community aspect. So I kind of dovetail both ends of this. And then our ESG team internal to Barkley with our PR team really handles that planet and clients work a little bit more. There's a quick video I'm going to show you at the end to really explain what this is all about.
No one ever asks for the half story.
So as a brand's offer, consider the following a Barkley allegory.
You see, whole brand thinking demands whole brand living.
And that starts here. Every pursuit unforgiving. It's not an overnight achievement for the taking.
It's a choice we don't stop making.
Partners, planet,
Clients.
community,
These are the pillars.
pieces with unity.
Add Good brings them together.
A challenge we'd rather think of.
It's a profound opportunity.
We aim for 20%
BIPOC employee representation,
Diversity at the director level, and pay standards that
challenge the inequalities of our nation.
We'll reduce CO2 emissions by 50%.
living 100% renewable with zero waste.
That's a future so sweet, you can almost taste. Our clients will have
Standards too.
meeting our impact criteria and SDGs
with pieces of every project's revenue.
As for our community,
Will play a big part.
Investing in minority and women-owned vendors.
creating funds for BIPOC ascenders,
And a promise to work each year
On charitable endeavors.
because this place
isn't full of pretenders.
We're over 400
Strong, trained and ready for the rocket
to take us where it should.
Every single person bound by one core belief.
If you want to build something good,
you gotta add good.
All right, folks, that was Whip Fast, and I want to make sure I had some time for people to discuss, chat, all those sorts of things, but obviously not a comprehensive list of things we've worked on or are working on currently, but with any hope, it's provided you some inspiration and some ideas that you can take back to your own companies and your own personal lives to really ensure that you're creating opportunities for folks to feel comfortable and for you to feel comfortable and for everybody to just be happy in their own skin. And really feel excited about the work they're able to produce. So with that, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. It's been a joy, and that's all I got. Thanks.
Thanks, Adam. That was actually the second time I've heard your presentation, and it just got better the second time. So if you're gonna do it again, let me know. It'll be more than welcome to sign up again so I can get some more out of it. So thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Adam before we continue on? Or any discussion? All right.
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, thank you so much for sharing, Adam. It's like, I just want to go back and do all the things. So thank you so much.
One thing at a time, pick one thing and go for it. That's what I would suggest. There's a lot of things you can do, but to do too many things at once is just as fatal as not doing anything at all. So pick one thing you feel really confident about. Make sure you get your leadership to buy into what you're doing, because it doesn't work if the leaders aren't bought in as well. It'll come off as pandering and opportunistic. So once you get them involved, I think it's very possible to make a lot of things happen.
Awesome.
That's great. All right.
Well, thank you all. Oh, you do have, okay. Good question coming in.
Yeah,
Lisa, are you a fast typist? We're going to find out.
Yeah. It's like we're all like waiting, Lisa.
See the 3 dots on an iPhone, and you're just like, are they going to respond?
On the edge,
and then the dots go away. And you're like, are they burning me? Are they like ghosting me here?
What are we going to do?
Oh, man.
It looks like it was recommendations for small agencies to do this or get started with this.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't come from agency life. And so I always thought Barkley was a small agency. They're like, no, you're not small. 400 people is a lot. I'm like, oh, okay. So I guess it's not that small of an agency. And I think a lot of people probably assume that the smaller the agency, the more easy it is to implement a lot of these strategies. And I think in some ways it perhaps is, in other ways it's not. I would say the first step for anything that you want to do is always to start with the leadership and get buy-in. But as you know, with any idea you bring to your leaders, it can't be a half-baked idea. It needs to be like fully thought through and polished and professional, as if you were pitching anything else, perhaps a new client or something in that regard. So I would always tell people, like, you know, agencies are their worst clients. Like, we can do all the work in the world for everybody else, but we can't even like get our own things together. And so my encouragement for you is it's sort of like when you invite people over to your home. You don't invite people over to your home for a party when it's dirty. You clean up first, you clean up your house, and then you bring people over. So, you know, as you're thinking about onboarding new clients, diverse populations, you know, marginalized groups, it's important that you have the systems and the frameworks in place to retain those folks once you get them. It's not enough to recruit and then hope they stay. Otherwise, it becomes this revolving door where they come right in and then exit right out the same way they came in. So you have to get some stickiness to it. And that comes with, one, starting with the leaders, showing, you know, the value add to the business and the culture. And realistically, some business leaders are going to think like, what's the bottom line impact going to be? It's not up to me to decide what's morally right in terms of why you do what you do. I simply care that you do it. Right. So it's important for you to know your leaders and know what levers to pull on first and foremost to really bring those ideas to fruition. And then secondly, like, now that you've seen that there is a company like Barkley that has done some of these things effectively, use us as a case study for that. This is what Barkley's done. They received, you know, the MAPE MAPE Independent Agency of the Year just this past year for their efforts for DEI+B. And that really results in us getting top talent to look to us instead of us having to seek it out all the time. So there is a business case for it, but also a moral obligation, in my honest opinion, to do this as well. I see a hand pop up from a man, Johnny, with a cool cap. Is that a Nike SB?
You bet.
Look at you. Okay.
Oh, thank you for the presentation today. It was amazing. It's great to see that in the Midwest that there is an agency kind of leading the way in that regard. For me, it's rare to see, but maybe it's more common than I think. I don't know. I'm still learning, but did want to mention, I was really intrigued by one of the things that I'm really interested in is like kids in underrepresented communities gaining access to become creative, to understand that creative is a way that you can express yourself, but also like do it for a living someday. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that those in underrepresented communities understand that enough. And so I think that's really important to me. And so I was just wondering how, like you were talking about how like you brought in kids. Were they junior achievement kids or how was that? Junior achievement, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, how did you sell that through? Because understanding that's people's time, that's part of the building. That's like, there's a lot of overhead over that.
Yeah.
I would imagine. So what was the sell job like in regards to the leadership, in regards to how you sold that through?
That was a scary sell job. I started this job in October 2020, and I pitched it November of that same year. So a month into the gig, I said, hey, I need about $100,000 for this program. And they were like, what? They're like, what's this? Where were you? And I had all these different, like I mentioned earlier, you have to come ready. So I had shown like years over years how other corporations had partnered with Junior Achievement and how they've been effective. I had been approached by the Junior Achievement president, and she had mentioned that there had been no representation of any sort of creative industry at all. And so that was one play that I had, was like, we could be the only. And I think that's something that distinction really set us apart. Two, we had all these pipelines that were like further along in career. And so I kind of created this XY axis sort of like presentation where it was like, you know, years of experience in the industry versus area of expertise. And sort of this like, you know, cross section, I showed that there was this huge dearth and underrepresented opportunity for kids to really be able to start thinking early on that this is something that they could get invested in. And it's really hard to get that across the finish line, because I think so often companies want that instant gratification of like, what is it going to do for me this year, this quarter, this fiscal year in terms of our budgetary allocation? But you have to cultivate a voyeuristic future mindset in your leaders. And that's the way that I did that, was to show like, you plant the seed now and that germinates into this beautiful flower later on. And they're going to think, who was the first company that I thought about in this industry? What story do you want them to share when they say what intrigued them and ingratiated them to this field of work? And you want them to say Barkley. You're like, oh, I was a kid and I was a junior achievement, and this guy named Jeff King, who's our CEO, was in there and telling me about his industry. And I got really excited about Barkley. And then in turn, the industry as a whole. And then think about it, when they do get done and they study at Mizzou or, you know, NYU or whatever, and they think about what companies they want to work for, if the company's still here, they're going to think about you top of mind first and foremost. And so it is a moonshot, but it's also the right thing to do. And the way to set up a pipeline of diversity into our industry that's organic and cultivated over time. So I would say, you know, encourage that piece a lot. And then not for nothing, just doing things differently and being divergent makes a lot of sense. And for us to not be creative in addressing problems is literally the most ironic thing I could ever think of. And I can't think of anything more creative than a child. So you know, what's funny is their project that they work on is with Post, which is the cereal company, and every kid in the world loves cereal. So they're like, oh, we got all these ideas. So Post was like all about it. They were like sending us boxes and all this stuff, like give the kids a cereal, we can get free work out of them. I was like, okay, that's pushing it, but I get it. So, you know, it makes a lot of sense to think through the eyes of a child. They are the most creative. You know, I always can tell people, like, when we grow up is when we lose creativity. And if you think like a child, you'll actually foster more creativity than you think. So.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
And of course, the question everybody wants answered is, was that your hoverboard? Is that the agency's hoverboard? Did you borrow it?
That is my guy, Griffin Davis. Griffin Davis is our leading videographer on our team. He can do it while holding a $2,000 piece of equipment, $2,000 piece of equipment. I don't know how he does it. And he's like full tilt, goes like 20 miles per hour on the thing around the office. He's a wizard. 360 spins, all kinds of stuff. So he gave me a quick tutorial for about 30 seconds, not very long at all, and was like, all right, we're on a time schedule here, so let's get going. And I'm like, why is this even part of this? Can I not just walk? He's like, kids don't like just walking. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So I have good insurance here. It was fine.
Very impressive. Oh, all right. Well, thanks again for spending some time with us and sharing. It was a lot of great information. And, you know, if people want to reach out, ask more questions, is there
I'll just drop my email in here, but obviously you all can shoot them my email as well. Not a problem at all.
Awesome.
Check me out. Call me, beat me if you want to reach me. Any Kim Possible fans out there, you get the reference. I'm around.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. Or thank you, Adam, for that, for joining us today and sharing your journey with us. I'm Jenny. I am with Cox Media, and I am the other professional development co-chair with Katie. And as Katie mentioned earlier, our board of directors have been working to bring creative events, conferences, and fun new events, along with webinars and virtual programming and in-person programming to benefit our members throughout Nebraska. And I would like to thank the AAF Nebraska elite sponsors, Woodman Life, and Envoy, and Basis Technology, which was formerly Centro, for their support and generosity. And if you're looking for sponsorship and for opportunities, you can reach out to any of the board members or to Terry. And just wanted to highlight before we go some upcoming events. We have the American Advertising Awards, which is Creative in Nebraska. And each year, the American Advertising Awards recognize the best and brightest ads and campaigns created by Nebraska businesses and advertising agencies. AAF Nebraska members participate in this prestigious event. The competition is an opportunity to recognize and reward creative excellence in the art of advertising. And the American Advertising Awards have become the industry's largest and most respected competition. Simply put, it's the Oscars of advertising. And it is conducted annually by AAF, and the local awards are the first of 3-tier national competition. In the second tier, local winners compete against other winners of 14 districts. And then the district winners are then forwarded to the third tier, which is the American Advertising Awards. And the entries have been judged. The award show and dinner will be held Friday, February 18th at the Farnham Hotel in Omaha. Tickets can be ordered online until early next week. Seating is limited this year, so please get your tickets ordered soon. In March, we have a lot of activities coming up. We have Meet the Pros. The planning team is working to create exciting and informative seminars for college level students interested in careers in advertising and marketing, communication, and visual arts. And it is a 2-day conference that give college students the opportunity to explore careers in the advertising industry. And it's going to be held on March 3rd and 4th at the Salvation Army Kroc Center. And area advertising professionals are needed to assist with the seminars, the roundtable discussions, and student portfolio reviews. So if you would like to volunteer or like more information, you can reach out to Kevin Olive or Aaron Burnham, and they are the co-chairs of AAF, or you can reach out to Terry. We also have our next Ad Connect, which is going to be in conjunction with Meet the Pros on Friday, March 4th from 4:30 to 6. And that is going to be at Legends on 71st and Pacific. We did that a couple years ago. It went over really, really well. And then we have Adventure coming up. It's a half-day event for high school students to learn about and dabble in various roles in advertising. So if you know a high school student passionate about social media or graphic design, developing brands, or just collaborate with people, advertising is a great career path to explore. And we would invite students to join us. It's going to be Saturday, March 5th at the UNI Alumni Center. Students will work in groups to advertise a feature product for Godfather's Pizza, and advertising professionals will oversee and guide students in developing their strategies and tactics. Also fun, we've got Bolorama that is going to be coming up at the Mark on March 11th. Registration is open. And then lastly, we have AAF Advertising on the Hill. Typically, this event is an in-person event in Washington, D.C., but this year it'll be held virtually, and it will provide attendees a robust briefing on the issues of importance facing the advertising industry, as well as information on how to engage with elected representatives or staff online. And you can register at aaf.org. So I believe that's everything. Terry, did I miss anything? I think we're good. All right. So thank you guys all for attending. And we thank Adam again for speaking. And everybody have a great day. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.